Recording, sir. Andrew, can you hear us okay? Okay.
Good deal.
Hey guys, my video, this is Kara, my video just, I guess, went out, but I'm here. I'm trying to fix it.
Okay, all good. Good deal. Well, yeah, let's call the meeting to order and get started. And so, last month's minutes. Let's see. Do we have a motion to approve? Sorry, Jenny, I look at you. I forget that you're.
No, I can't do it.
You can't do it anymore.
To approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll
Sure.
second. Yep. All right, good deal. So, all in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
All right. All right, minutes approved. And then visitor comments.
We have none scheduled.
No visitors?
Unless I don't see any visitors. so-
Nope. So we're good there.
Okay.
Cece, I reviewed the scavenger hunt proposal, but did everybody take a look at this? Do you want to go through it real
I do
quick?
want to
That way
go
we can
through
talk
it
about it.
because the reason I put it together, I told you I like to work in an outline format. But I have a lot of questions that came up while I was proposing it, and hopefully there are people in this room that might have some better insights. So the idea, as it says, is to get everybody that participates into the overall areas so that they can be like, wow, I didn't know. And so doing that and promoting it in a 5-mile radius includes people in Maplewood and maybe as far as Frontenac and Afton, I guess, and to the east, I don't know, Maplewood, I guess. So the idea is to get business to business people to come, to come in and explore the business to businesses. So then you have to project into what's an interesting business, right? Because if you were going to participate, you'd want to have interesting reveals as you come in. So when you start pondering that, you start realizing, A, there's a lot of stuff that can be promoted, and B, how do you even choose? So I started to have to subcategorize, and I thought there could be certain types of events that this is not the only one. Like you could choose it to be about food and have people going from place to place to place to place to place so that they get a good understanding of what the restaurant tours or food purveyors are in our town. Or you do gift shops and clothing stores. But then, of course, this leaves out services, hair salons, insurance guys, those are all, maybe there's a special event that happens around them someday. And then I thought of a new idea too, which is maybe get to know the artists of Webster Groves and do studio tours. And maybe that includes the architects and the interior people that mostly inhabit Crossroads, actually. But that's for another conversation. So I hope that when I get done giving you my outline, we can have a little discussion about how people might be chosen and if there's some sort of fee if those people are chosen, or if not, this is just an area I don't have any experience with this group in. So the next thing is you got to create a path for play. Clues are going to be fun. They start in a certain destination. They go into a retail outlet who then provides them with some sort of future clue to the next thing. They collect these clues at the end of and I'd like it to be a 2-hour event. They end up at a public eatery for some merrymaking and some prizes. And prizes I felt that would be appropriate would be Webster bucks. So they come back and they spend the money here again. So that's another thing I have no experience with, how much the budget will hold, how much. I'm thinking we should plan for 75 to 100 people. I could be low, I could be high. If it's a rainy day, maybe there's 20. Maybe it becomes a big fun thing and there's 200. I don't know, but I think we should plan for like maybe 100 people. So there needs to be, a large enough final destination to accommodate people that would choose to come and prove that they went on the event, have a beer, whatever, and then enjoy Webster hospitality. So that brings us to point 3, which is how do you choose the retailers or restaurants? Do we solicit them and ask them for a participation fee for the special attention that they would be receiving as a participant that's featured? Or do we just go with our own choices and make it the most interesting, the newest, most popular, most likely to interest people? And that's just our choice. That's it. Like there's 5 people in Old Orchard, there's 5 businesses in Old Webster, and there's 2 businesses in Crossroad, and there's about 12. And if it happens to be 10 minutes each, we're into a 2-hour event. So, and I would love Maypop in the scheme of things, even though they're like not even in a business district, that's inclusive of this. So then there has to be a determination of the event date, which we've talked about, maybe October, start time, we can figure that out. And then, it's a pretty simple marketing plan, create posters for store windows. And here's another one, ad for the Webster Crooked Times. Do we pay for these ads? Do they give us these ads? I don't know this thing about you guys. Okay, well, we should pay, but I just didn't know the protocol.
They
with
give us
the-
like a little bit of a discount, but yeah.
Perfect. Put a little, a banner ad or a Squarespace on the Webster Grove site. We need the Facebook page, Webster Connect. I think it'd be cool to post something on the Webster Grove City Hall sign. But again, don't know the protocols of this kind of thing. Is that a
That's
yes?
easy. Yeah. we can do
Okay,
that
cool.
easy.
Maybe a postcard if there's enough budget, but whatever. And then figure out how to reach additional audiences from Ladue to Maplewood. So that's where we're standing. As for the kind of, if I was to say interesting shops, I would say Euclid Records, for instance. You can get people to go in there, find an album that's been hit. They go have to find that album, for instance. All the way to McGough and Burr, like how many people find themselves in a good art gallery, right? To the dog treat thing, to the rug store, to Kind Soap. And I didn't even get any of the clothing stores in yet, right? Story 7, one or 2 of the clothing stores would be great. So this is the way I'm thinking it goes. But if we could talk for a minute about how to choose the retailers, if there's participation fees, if there's just this group saying, we're going to do this and we're going to choose and we're going to make it interesting, and congratulations, you've been selected.
Sure.
I'd like to start with the timing of this, a 2-hour event where you've got, you say scavenger hunt, you have a lot of people that could come out for that. And it could be people coming out with kids, it could be, and if you're talking 2 hours and you're gonna bring 200 people into every store that we're talking about, I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot going on to make that a 2-hour period. That's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people trying to go fast. I don't know. There's a lot of concern with having that all in a 2-hour thing, not knowing how many people are gonna come out.
And I agree
For
with
this.
you. And I've actually experienced that before. So some of the decisions around who you choose might have to do with where the parking is available. And also there needs to be the concern that you have of people wanting to be racing around.
Mhm.
So you have to get people out of their cars and you have to keep them nested in a certain area. So they're walking and not just like driving from Old Orchard to Crossroads and back to Old Orchard and then down to the other place. And the other way to control that is to not make it a timed thing so much as a completion thing. So it's not a race to be the first one done. It's just that anybody that completes it wins. And then they can abandon it halfway through if they want to and meet at the eatery. So your concerns are valid and they can be addressed, but there is always going to be the wise guys that are in a big race and they get in a car accident.
Could you also potentially not have everyone start at say you had 20, a group of people start with 1 and work their way through, a next group of people, what would be number 5 becomes number, I mean, you
That's
set it
one-
up so that
that's
you're
right.
staggered where they're going, so you don't have quite the concentration.
The other way that I thought of doing it is creating opposites. So you have people that are starting at the end and going
Yeah.
to the beginning, and you
Same
have people
idea,
that are
sure.
going to the beginning and then the end. It gets a little more logistically complicated, but I think it can be managed. It's not talking about
Just on, oh, right.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, that way it's not linear with everybody going to the same place at
Right,
the same
right,
time.
right.
Yeah.
I think you bring up very good concerns, very good concerns. Oh, I'm sorry.
So timing was one of mine, and would this be a weekend thing?
Good question. I think it's a Saturday thing.
Because that's, so if it's something where it's a one-day thing and we're talking this many people, I have a lot of concern. One is like, they're not gonna have time to shop. So you have them going through places on their primary shopping day if it's retail. Taking up parking of people that do wanna shop. COVID, it's still there. And also that these 18 months have been exhausting for retailers and restaurants. That whatever we want to do to help promote, if it could be easy and that like they just open as normal and make sales, then that would be best.
Yeah, but that is kind of what they're doing. And somebody walks in and you hand them a clue. And if they want, they look around and they go, wow, this is cool. And I would expect there's going to be sales while it's going on. It's not meant to be any more disruptive than what I experience when I go into Old Webster and I visit during a sidewalk sale or any other event that draws a lot of people to the area, and people benefit from that. So as for COVID, I think you just have to, hope that people walking in your store are sensitive to that, as you already are doing, I suppose.
What if this were to be broken up into multiple weekends? And you've got 5 stops each weekend, over 4 weeks, and who does that? I mean, because I also, an issue, I mean, sitting at the table and us understanding it, ending at the restaurant and everybody having a good time and having a beer together sounds great. That's not going to come across very well on this. People aren't going to see it like that as the ending spot.
Why wouldn't they see it as the ending spot?
Well, again, if you have 200 people or 100 people walking into a restaurant at the end of this thing, at the end of a 2-hour period, I mean, no, what restaurant can handle that?
Well, it's just stand-up thing. At Llewellyn's has room for that kind of group,
Well,
don't they? I mean,
Well, but-
I've been to things like that there.
yes, but why are we sending everybody to one restaurant in Llewellyn's because it has a space?
Because it's camaraderie and fun and laughter and community. They can go where they want after that. I mean, some of them will spill out and go have a pizza and get dinner and do things like that. But it makes it possible to have an event destination where people get a reward and somebody's business gets more opportunity to sell stuff. And
Well, I was gonna make the suggestion, I mean, it wouldn't have the finality as far as the ending, but why not make it like a week-long event? And you can kind of just do it when you want, and then that alleviates the traffic issue. Gives people more time to shop at your store or anybody else's, because it's not timed with everybody going fast.
I mean, there's nothing, why can it be the whole month of September or whatever?
Yeah, and they get like a stamp or something like that to show that they completed, each task, and then you can still do prizes, but just randomize them with people that finish. Do a drawing for 5 prizes for people that do it. So I don't know, just another idea.
Yeah,
more
I
like a
agree.
guys'
I
concern.
think taking the time, sorry. My video is still not working. I think taking the timed aspect out of it would make everybody's life a lot easier. And the logistics of organizing, I mean, renting a space, making sure like, a Llewellyn's or whatever is staffed up, all of those things is going to be probably more difficult than the ROI would, help out there.
So what you just said is more of a self-guided thing.
Yeah, I mean, you still have, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's self-guided in the sense of like, the clues are there and you do it when you choose to.
You could have some sort of like passport or something
Yeah,
to submit at the end.
We do that in Old Webster every month.
We do.
mhm.
There you
We got it
go.
down pat.
I have experience with it both directions. If you, some of you remember there was a discussion about art prize. The art prize thing is you come downtown every month, every weekend for a month. You vote on your favorite piece of art in that case, and then there's big prizes at the end for the winning artists, and it keeps people coming downtown. So that's one thing. I've also done club events where you actually do an afternoon of, running around and having some fun and laughing at the silly experiences that you had while you were doing it. So that was more, I see it both ways. And in fact, probably over time, we can do it both ways, and we should do it both ways. Frankly, I think the passport idea, even though it's great, it's a lot more work than just making an afternoon event where people run around and share an experience and have some laughter at the end, which is the way I was imagining it. The logistics are much less. It's a thing you either do or you don't do. You're in, you're out. But the people that do it usually are, they have a lot of fun with the collision of it all. And I don't mean in cars. I mean bumping into each other in stores.
You keep following the same person around all day.
You do, unless you do it, opposites, or you
Sure.
get people on different tracks.
Well, and like maybe that brings us to another point, is that we could somewhat combine some of these ideas and rebrand or re-examine the marketing around the passport event to make it kind of more new and exciting, so more people are interested in doing something like that.
Mr. Chair, may I on that? So Kara, I don't disagree with that. I just put it out to all BDC to remember that the idea of the rebrand also involves some whole separate identities that have existed. Obviously the passport right now is an Old Webster function. And so to rebrand and to geographically change that, I'm not opposed to it. Just be aware that's more than just, hey, let's all agree to rebranding.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's something
there's
that can
interest,
incorporate more
yeah,
than just
yeah.
the Old Webster Business District, as we've discussed more about, kind of uniting all the business districts into one Webster.
Sure. Well, and also there is, I think everyone knows, but the trade association exists for Old Webster, which I know many people around this table deal with, but that is wholly independent of the city's apparatus as well. So.
Mhm. And the trade association is who runs the passport.
I
right?
believe so,
Yes.
yes.
So, yeah, so it's not, it wouldn't be fair to take that away from it.
Oh, no, it's not, that's not good.
No,
It's not
And I'm
just,
I'm president. of the
Yeah,
trade
right,
association,
and-
so-
No, that's all right. naturally.
I am not.
Oh, that's okay. I just, because this is my first meeting, I don't know like the history that's coming into the discussion, but it sounds like what they're trying to do is just include everybody more on this, because the different districts have their little flavors of things that they do. Would it be a little more kind of easier to do something that kind of already is, like maybe to bump up what we do with Webster Bucks, since that like every business can pretty much participate in that to some extent, like to put a little more into that since it's already existing, and maybe try to promote that more to like Ladue or like some of these areas, maybe, and like money that would be spent for like rewards or something for that could be like if you buy a Webster Bucks in $100 or more, you get a little something, or I don't know. It's just something that's already existing that crosses over into everything. I don't know if like the art galleries participate, but there's like clothing shops, restaurants, everybody, that wants to can do that, right?
Well, that's the reason why the prizes would be Webster Bucks, to get people using the denomination of Webster. And it seemed like, it's a win-win to drop that in. Now, as for the passport idea, perhaps some of you have been on the bourbon tour in Kentucky, Lexington to Louisville. And this is based on getting people to visit the different bourbon distilleries. It's pretty cool. they have a passport, they have different members. Now, I know for a fact that those people have to pay to be in it because there are people that are featured and there are people that are not featured. And yet it's a world of fun. You go, from place to place, you get this much bourbon, so nobody gets drunk. And it's a wonderfully long-term benefit to the area. It's trying to make them more competitive with like Napa Valley. And it's a great idea to do that kind of thing if there's enough homogeneous thinking around it. Now, this was meant to just say, we got Old Orchard, we got Old Webster, we got Crossroads, but you don't know what Webster's got, and we definitely don't know where you are, right? So this was just meant to be a way to get people to survey what is in our community and have a little gay fun time while they're at it. It really isn't designed to be anything more than that, a one-day event. But all these ideas are good that can be future explored.
Well, and what Old Webster is planning something like Walktober, or what is that?
The Walktober, that's it was an event we created last year because everything COVID was gone.
And outside.
Yeah, so we kept it where we just said, come outside, walk, and we'll do some sidewalk sale type things and social distance and all that.
Was it an Oktoberfest theme
Okay.
Right.
It was good.
restaurants?
Lederhosen and beer steins too, so.
Not quite
Not
as
that
much,
kind of
because
Oktoberfest.
we downplayed the festival aspect because we were afraid of too much.
Yeah,
many
it
crowds.
was originally called a festival, and then I put a big round
The no smoking.
red,
X
yeah,
thing.
no smoking type thing over the festival part of it, so
Yeah.
not to create a deal.
But everybody had decorated their places of business. The restaurants did, like Parkmore did their version of a schnitzel. That sort of thing.
So, I mean, I think where we're at on the scavenger hunt, I mean, I like the bones of it, the idea, but we've got to nail some things down on logistics, budget. I think timing, realistically, I think it would be hard to do something in October when we don't know where we're at on this first two. What do you guys think?
I
mean,
do have additional idea here, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be about running in and out of retailers based on what you just said. It can be finding a clue, somebody's dressed in an elf outfit and you find them and you get a clue, right, on the street. So
Mhm.
then it's up to you to explore the area. Again, the goal is just to create a survey of what's available in Webster and enter into places you've never been before. I frankly like the idea of getting them in a store, but it doesn't have to be that way. It can be from, district to district. There can be 4 people in each district that you got to discover and get your clue from. Under the clock tower, behind the sign, whatever.
Mike, when you talk about logistics,
I think the
one thing.
time versus untimed and just,
I just want to point out something that most of the commissions seem to forget that in the past. You need a person or several persons. You need a body to do all of this.
Yeah.
And who is that going to be and how's that going to happen? Just add
That's
that
me.
to-
I'm
add
on
that to your
board. I'm
list.
on
I
board.
agree.
And I have a couple helpers if they're still willing, and other people are, this stuff, the thing I envisioned isn't that complicated. The hardest part is writing clever clues. And I suppose the second hardest part is making sure the retailers want to participate, and then got to figure out, are you charging them or is it just a gratis thing that you chose them? Though it's a real thing. And that's why I'm here talking to the committee about it. I don't really know how to broach that without somebody saying, why didn't you choose me?
Sure.
I mean, with businesses, it's tough. I mean, Old Orchard can't even have, a commission or a trade association and put that together. Businesses are almost like, you gotta force it down their throat and talk them into it. Because they don't always get it. You know, what we are saying here are common sense things. And I think, yes, charging the retailers that you go to is how it should be done. You know, I would be willing to pay to have people come to my store without a doubt. And I think that, but not everybody's gonna see it that way because they're not thinking about all of Webster, they're thinking about themselves
Right.
and not, so unless somebody's going down and sitting down and talking with them, getting their time, and then trying to get money from them, I don't know. I mean, what you say makes sense. I mean, it's common sense, but I don't think it's as easy, at least from what I've experienced here. I mean, just in Old Webster to get people to come to meetings or get involved or do anything. You know, and Fran can testify all day long to this. It's just not that simple as you're saying, even though it's common sense what you're saying, it's just not that easy. I mean, to get CJ Muggs to do anything, you know, which is dead middle of our thing, and we're trying to promote them and they won't do anything. You know, it's just how it is. You've got a lot of businesses that may have been part of things at one time, and bird of the occasion. You know, they've been on every commission and everything, and head of the trade association and whatever. They don't come to anything, and they haven't since I've been around for the last 5 years. They're not interested. They're burnt out and all that. So you have a lot of that. You have a lot of new people that are just trying to get by. It's just not quite as simple as what you're saying. And with this commission, there's not much of a budget. We don't really have money here to do a lot of things. We have to go to, you know, each of the places to get money to do our holiday advertising for all of Webster and everything else. So there's not, you know, we don't have, you know, we're not working with a $100,000 budget that we could, you know, say, oh, let's put 5,000 towards this thing. And the people, as you said, that that would need to be around to do it. So I'm not trying to talk down on this whole thing. I'm just trying to say it should be simplified to maybe a little longer period of time instead of the 2 hours on a Saturday when we're.
I've done this for the Mercedes Club and it was free. I mean, like, now the prizes came from the Mercedes Association. They were things like mugs and folders, but and we ran around with our phones and took pictures of ourselves at destinations, and we had a big laugh when we got done with it.
And I understand that as a scavenger hunt. I mean, for the parties for schools, the sign up parties that you do, we've done scavenger hunts, you know, but it's right there. It's limited to, you know, the 15 couples that sign up and pay the $30 for it, and then you do it, and then you end up at the person's house and have the laughs and all that stuff, and it's a great time. I just think I'm just not sure how we're going to sell this whole thing to people, and if people do come, then it could be a problem. I don't know. It doesn't seem simple when you say it's simple.
Well, the complicated part seems to be politics, and if we choose to own this without engaging in a fee, we can do whatever we want. And then the people, we can even do a carrot stick thing, like choose the people that are already participating in the associations. And maybe ultimately people start figuring that out. But I, for one, would like to be more consumer oriented and choose the businesses that might be overlooked, like, you know, like the rug store or the dog treat business or the new macaroon place, or I don't know, even art of entertaining, people that just don't notice these things that are in their communities, or the art gallery, for instance, you know.
It's something, you know, the rug store is great. You know, I know her. They're great. But you know, there's $25,000 rugs in there. That's what's in it. And they don't participate at all with the trade association.
If they do, They pay their fee?
They do pay their fee?
They
Oh,
That's
okay,
important.
okay, they do pay their fee. I apologize.
They pay their fee.
I did not know that they did pay their fee.
They do.
Hey, all, this is Andrew on the Zoom meeting. I don't know, I haven't participated much in these discussions, so I don't have the most effective or persuasive platform here, but my broad views on this are that, I think it seems like the tension here is we want to do something new and interesting to meet this strategic objective, but it's not that easy to accomplish, and there's a bunch of logistical difficulties. And this was born out of a strategic plan, right? The question was, what can we do to meet their strategic objective of introducing people to Webster as a unified business district and building connectivity amongst the businesses in the different districts. I don't think I don't think there's a simple way to achieve that strategic objective. We haven't identified one, and this may not be it either, but I don't think that should deter. Again, easy for me to say, I haven't participated in the discussions. I'd like to going forward because I think this is a good idea, but I think that should deter us from pursuing it. And it might take a year, right, to figure this out. But I like the idea, and it may not be possible. That may be what Tim is saying, and based on his experience, which is exponentially greater and more significant than mine. It might not be possible, but I think it's worth exploring, and it may not be easy, but I do believe that the act of looking at something like an art prize in Grand Rapids or the Bourbon Trail, although that's distinctive for numerous reasons, is a good approach. And I do think we should strive to create something distinctive and unique, even if it takes some time. Those are just my 2 cents. And again, easier said than done.
So following up from that, is it worth taking this to the 3 business district meetings and getting additional feedback from additional business owners who might have ideas that help shape this in ways that businesses can get on board?
I think that's a good next step, but I think from a timing standpoint, I think we have to be realistic to probably not being able to do this in October, and do it, functionally and do it well, and maybe move it to the spring and then get feedback from the business districts, come back to the table to figure out, if we're going to charge for it, if people are, some of the businesses are interested, and we kind of have our core of who wants to do it, and then go from there and make it a successful event.
The other benefit of that is, I said this time last year, but we hope that the COVID situation will be different, and then concerns about crowding might be lessened. I'm not going to suggest that's a given.
Yeah, I love the idea of wrapping it up in one place and everybody getting together and fun, but I think it's tough with the optics this fall if we did that. And so I think it'd be fun.
If you were looking for something really fast to do for this upcoming holiday season, if we did, we love promoting the entire Webster, not just like us and what's going on, because it's good for everybody, it's good for us, and what's good for us, is good for everyone else. On a nice little weekend, we can have 1,000 people come through. So we're small but mighty. We try to send people out all the time. But if we did want to maybe advertise to some of these other areas about the Webster Bucks program, in order to pay for it, I, as a business, would be willing to take a reduced redemption rate. Or if, say, even different levels of sponsor would take a different level of redemption reduction or something like that. So, because I think what's good for Webster is good for us all.
So how does the Webster Bucks how do people get interested in Webster Bucks?
I think that's kind of what you're talking about as far as.
Right,
promoting
it's
more.
like you only know about it if you live here.
Probably put it.
Well, I
start
know, but
cryptocurrency.
still, what's in it for me as a consumer? Why do I care about Webster
Because
Bucks?
you can give somebody a gift certificate for the holidays and they can use it at any of the businesses.
And I did
It's
that.
effective for
actually.
it's useful for gift giving. That's what the allure of Webster Bucks is, in my opinion.
And I actually did that last year. Okay, so that's a promotable concept.
We used it in Old Webster, when was it the Cookie Walk? Fran? Yes. It was too much it was getting too out of control, too big. And so we wanted to start charging people. But what we did is we charged them the $5 or whatever per person that was going around. But then we gave them $5 in Webster bucks back. So that way they were getting Webster bucks, but so it was an even cash thing, but they were having to actually spend some money in Webster.
Mhm. Now, the cookie thing I didn't go to, but that sounds a lot like a scavenger hunt in terms of its logistics.
No,
No, I
No,
mean,
it-
you have to make something, you have to get people to it, you have to get them in the store, you give them something when they come in the store. It's a simple idea.
well, yeah, but it was just people walking around to stores. It's like the
Yeah.
cookies.
Well,
Well,
let's,
exactly.
here, let me try, let's rein in a little bit because we're gonna run out of time. And I know we have to do holiday planning this meeting, otherwise we're pretty significantly behind. So I like the ideas, as far as obviously the scavenger hunt, I like. Are we okay with our next steps on it, taking it to the different business districts and seeing how they feel and then circling back on it next meeting?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I will do that.
Okay, good deal. And then, and Tammy, I like what you're talking about with Webster bucks and redemption levels, trying to promote that a little bit more, but let's come back to that. Let's make that maybe another meeting topic, the next meeting too. That way we can move on to the business involvement and civic spaces and events, and then get into the holiday planning too. Good? All right. Eric? The business-
So just
business
following up on this is the conversation about civic spaces and events. As Mara has transitioned many things, including this to me, and I'm glad to be here. Special event permits, which are the key of what we're talking about here. So when the city has to permit an event, even if it's nothing on city property, so you want to, or you want to have a sidewalk sale, and if we need to give you a permit, those permits will be coming through me. So it's the police, the fire, they all look at those things. My thought is in this regard is to build into that, what is that potential for business involvement? So when I go back to the concert series at Glen Park that's been happening, right? I mean, what is that, the potential for involvement, using that process as a way to identify those potentials, and then also putting some thought work behind, really looking at really next year, next season's outdoor spaces and times into what is, and then what is the right way to bring business into that loop, right? The last thing the city wants to do is pick, okay, Olive and Oak, you get to go be
No
a
winners and
caterer.
losers.
Right, there's no winners and losers, right? But how do we then, if John Doe is gonna have something at Glen Park, how do we note, and they want to have the business community involved, how do we notify that appropriately and build that process around that? So that if a business does want to take advantage of that and start to capitalize and monetize an event, that they don't have, that they can show up at, how do we build that process so that can happen? So those are my thoughts. The next step is really to use that process. Things that don't receive a permit from us never really cross our radar, right? And it would be awfully tough for the city to know about. So, but those things that do are really what I was thinking in terms of the using of that public space and how businesses could be involved. Obviously, I see a lot of potential for food and bev, really, whether it be carry out or, food trucks rolling up on site, but also want to be cognizant of some real state traditions we have here about, the restaurateurs that are in brick and mortar don't necessarily want a food truck parked a block away I get that. So, working through all those things to help develop those kinds of processes. So I think that's my next step on that. And I wanted to look at the group and see if there were thoughts or concerns on that issue. So.
I can speak to it a little bit, only because I just did a wedding reception at the Forest Park Pavilion, which is a big city-run park, right? They expect you to use one of a half a dozen approved caterers, and I tell people like, what? And I'm like, well, I guess they want to protect the park. They want to make sure people don't have unsuccessful events.
Right.
And then I had to also use somebody that provided me with $1 million worth of insurance, but that was easy enough too. But the point to you is that you can, anybody that wants to participate could be approved as a vendor for these things, so that you can let the person that's coming to you with a permit say, these are the approved people in Webster, and choose.
Well, and we can create approved lists, and there are approved lists for certain types of functions that the city does already. Really the question here is, we have a lot of folks that put together events that don't think, and this is really the conversation with the event planner, that don't think about the monetizing. The Glen Park series is a classic example, right? And I'm just using that as the easy one that's popped up. They wanted to have concerts. That's the extent of their world.
Right.
I'm on the other side thinking, now you've gathered people, they're away from businesses, so that means they're importing generally from home. They're bringing the picnic basket and the wine bottle, right?
Sure.
If they are, if we're allowing alcohol, I don't even know if their permit says, but my point being is, how do we, in that same conversation, back to the event planner, is there a way to involve the local business in a way to, if they want that, again, that's so.
Sure.
So that's really it. Obviously, our parks department, when we rent pavilions, has had them that have said, we want to bring this caterer in, and there's a whole list of things that they have to go through. So, but it was also, how do we activate spaces where people are starting to naturally gather and use for other purposes is really what I was driving at. So, but I
It's a
appreciate
good
it.
idea.
Yeah, I like the idea. I mean,
Good
I
idea.
think, like you said, we're not forcing it on people. It's if the events want to have a business presence there, but I think it'll be a good thing on both sides. And then we're taking advantage of events that are already happening to help the business.
And many of, and I don't want to belabor it too long, but many of these events are functionally city sponsored. So you have a lot of things the Arts Commission is sponsoring, which is, just a different shade of the same dollar the city is paying. So, I mean, it's a matter of, we're telling ourselves in some of this, let's think broader than just putting on the event, right? And that's no shot at the Arts Commission. It's just, we all work in our lane, but think more holistically about what we are operating and how we're putting that forward to the
Would the
public.
organizations benefit from bringing in
They,
other?
they certainly could. They certainly could. But it's really a question of, what their goals are. If people want just a very quiet, I can't think of what the concert is that's gonna be right here. Piano Fest, sorry, thank you. If they don't, all they want is just the concert and no, business involvement, that's fine. I have no problem with that, but it's really opening the question of, let's answer that question and not just assume it's answered,
Mhm.
right? Because there's a great opportunity rather than, or is it, hey, businesses, they don't want anything, but Olive and Oak, CJ Muggs, Clover, and I can't think of all the businesses, but anyway, you get my point.
Yeah.
Put out an ad, tell everyone to stop by, on your way to Piano Fest, stop by for margarita or whatever, so.
Sure.
So you think a good next step would be maybe talking to Arts Commission and seeing if
Well,
there's
I-
an interest in.
I think there's a step there, yes, but
Mhm.
there's also, all of those things go to a permitting event because
Sure.
they affect a public space. So they're coming to us in the city for a special event permit,
Mhm.
and that goes across many different departments. What I'm actually talking about there is in the whole process of that, building in those specific questions. So when a person fills out that form, do you
Yeah.
want to consider, outside businesses potentially selling a product or a
Right.
service at your event? Those kinds of things helps us then relay the information correctly.
That seems like something that would be easy, right?
It's
As far as
very,
just changing
it's very
the line of
easy.
questioning.
It's a very easy thing. What I think is different is that it's a different style than this city has been used to, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we have not intentionally asked a permit applicant, do you want to monetize this event in a way, that you haven't thought about yet?
Yeah.
So
So
it's not a
what,
bad
That's a
thing.
good idea.
yeah, I
They
think so
can
too.
say no.
They can
Yeah,
always say
they
no.
can say
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
Or they could say, never thought of that.
I think it's a great idea. I guess what do we need to do to go forward to?
You don't
have that
need to
line of
do
questioning? Do we have to do anything? No.
I will bring some, and piece of this will go to the city business roundtable, but I will bring, as we've talked about, sort of our permitting process
Yeah,
for these and show you some of the changes,
Okay.
that we're considering and such, so.
okay. Good deal. Well, I think we're set on that as far as the next steps there then. So anybody else have anything to add, or should we move into business roundtable?
All right, business roundtable. So I asked for this to be on the agenda, and the councilwoman can certainly pipe in here. The city has the American Rescue Plan funding, which is $4.6 million over the next couple of years that the city will have in place. One of the eligible uses of that is economic impact from COVID-19 to businesses. And this goes sort of morphs into a strategic plan as well for the city, and that's the city council's job to start creating that and work on that. However, a huge constituency of the city is obviously the business community. And Dr. Peoples and I, the city manager, have been talking. We would like to have a city business roundtable, or a luncheon, or whatever we want to do. The point is a listening. I want to be very clear, not us telling you things, but legitimately us listening. And that means for the shots too, that people want to take it city. If it's hard to build a house here, we want to know that. We want to know why. If it's hard to fix your toilet, we want to know why. If it's hard to open up, it's hard for Joe, for Acme Printing to stay going, we want to know that. So all these things, a real listening session, that's a better term for it, I guess. Why I'm bringing it to you, because we could obviously do that, is I would like it to be the Business Development Commission's roundtable. I'm willing to do from the staff level, put it together, the logistics and all that. But when I want people to walk in, other than maybe hearing a welcome from Dr. Peoples, I really want this group, some people, to be the facilitator, right? And we'll help you with questions, but really be the person at the front so the city's listening. Because I don't want city staff, including myself, popping up saying, well, we do this, right? We need that sort of raw input into that from city businesses is our thought. So that's what I'm putting on the table. I'm willing to deal with all the details and the logistics. It's really, would you put your name on it as the Business Development Commission, your event in that regard? And then who do I work with in terms of the actual event and such? So Councilwoman, I'll turn to you if there's anything you want to throw.
Yeah, I will just add that I think this is broadly important for us, but it's critical for the funding that we're going to receive. Because so much of that is defined as helping our businesses recover from that. I mean, it's not a percentage defined, but that is a criteria that's important. And so we as a council need to understand what the best use for you all is for those funds. And if we don't have an event like this that includes a broad swath, we may not get all the ideas that we really could act on. And so I'm just going to endorse fully this. And as for it coming from the BDC, I mean, I think frankly, it only increases the visibility of the BDC and the legitimacy of the BDC for it to come from this commission.
You're here.
I mean, I think so. I think that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I think it's a great idea. Is that something we should vote on as far as doing it, or just go ahead and go? I guess. Well, say that we're okay with facilitating it.
I think I would say sponsor it, right? Like we'll deal with it
Sponsor
and
it,
all that, but
yes.
it's sponsored by you so that we can, it's not us at the city staff level
Yep.
putting this in front of the public.
I think it's great. I'm completely for it. And Mike, if you're willing to work it, I'm willing to work it with you.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
So let's do it.
Good. All right.
Okay, good deal. Holiday planning, Jenny, is that you?
All right, yes,
All
holiday
right.
planning.
She's been so quiet over here.
I
She's just nervous, waiting to pounce.
Before she pops in on that holiday
Yes.
planning in relation to marketing, so.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Well, and that's, my first question is, I'll just need to have a good idea of what we're doing. Like, is the Christmas cookie walk gonna happen this year or not because of COVID? Are we gonna do the big day with the carriages and other things like that? Yes, okay. So just getting all of those details in place, but we have about the same budget that we've had previously, which is about $19,600.
Mhm.
And so I was looking at what we've done in the past, and I think Great Day St. Louis was kind of a good experience. And I reached out to them and I called them, and I had good timing because they had just spoken to Stacy from Old Webster. So I called Stacy yesterday and we talked, and we're gonna kind of pool our ideas, and whatever day she was putting money in on the show, that's the day I'll put money in. So it'll have a little bit more Old Webster information, but it'll be all Webster Gross, the whole hour. So it's not like people turning on Great Day St. Louis on a Tuesday 1 week and seeing Old Webster, and then on a Wednesday 2 weeks later and seeing all of Webster Gross and being like, I'm confused. So
Right.
we'll pick a day and we'll pool all of the money together and do on that day. KZK, I think, is another one that's always been popular because they start playing Christmas music in the middle of November.
Mhm.
And so everybody.
No,
Why not?
They don't wait that
That's
long.
already- that's already going.
So
That's so
anyone,
true.
anyone who's interested in Christmas will be listening to that. So I've reached out to them and just put the package together for the same thing. We were approached by ABC, and I thought that this was kind of a cool promotion. It's their great giveaway, ABC 30. So it's $1,500, and they do little spots for the businesses and they promote them. And then each business that's involved, there's only 12, will give away a $500 gift card to their business. So she's like, I'm concerned about that with you. And I'm like, no, we've got Webster Bucks. We can give $500 of Webster Bucks. So, but it plays, primarily the ads will play before streaming. Like if you watch an ABC show on a Roku, so if you're watching The Bachelor on a Roku and there's some ads that you can't skip, this will be one of those ads. So
Okay.
it's kind of a good way to hit the streaming market, the people who watch ABC things on Fire Stick and Roku is what she mentioned specifically. And it's only $2,000 total. So we'll get a number of the ads, and there's only 10 sponsors, and she said that they don't do competing. So there won't be like us and St. Charles
Mhm.
vying for the same people to come to our Christmas events. So that seemed like a good
So
deal.
we would be theoretically, one of those sponsors could be a business, not necessarily Webster, but a business.
Yeah.
But we would sponsor as the whole.
The whole
city,
Webster
the
groups,
whole
yeah.
Webster in our policy.
So that seemed like a good one. And all of these places like KZK and ABC 30, they would produce for us with their production departments. We don't have to go out and produce. We'd have to give them some video clips and things like that. But I believe we have that from Creative Entourage. And then, of course, Webster Kirkwood Times is kind of a must, have to advertise with them. Social media giveaways that we do on the Explore Webster page, Webster Bucks as well. You know, we do a number of those. And then the rep is hopefully coming back, and they're doing a Christmas Carol. They're doing a digital program book. And so they're going to be sending me what the costs are for that, because I'm not sure if they're the same for print, but I feel like we didn't do them
No, we haven't done
the
that.
past few years.
No, we haven't. In this, what you're talking about
Yeah.
in the past, because I've served on it the last, maybe not last year. I don't know.
You did.
Okay, but the last 3 years, 4 years that I've been, the mayor's been very involved in this budgeting for this holiday stuff. She's always been very, very into this.
Yeah,
That's where we did the billboard a couple of years ago, and
yeah,
was
it
that-
came from,
but we always did a subcommittee, not the
Okay.
Right.
entire committee
Mhm.
on this.
Of the
on this-
VDC.
Of the VDC. So I'm just tossing that out to you.
okay,
So just on that point, and obviously some staff have changed and such, one of the things that has changed since last holiday is we've now hired a professional. So part of the, Joanne, who used to be a part of this process,
Mhm.
my predecessor, really looking at this was, this is Jenny's wheelhouse. Like at the
Mhm.
city
Mhm.
now, departments aren't, just buying ads all over. There's a point we've centralized. So
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to a subcommittee
Yeah.
talking about it and such. I wanted to give a sense that we changed our internal capability.
yeah,
Makes
And,
sense.
and not to say we're keeping anyone out, but it's really, we've hired a professional for a reason to be able to help.
Absolutely.
Have to eliminate more meetings for you all and
Sure.
for us to do some of that.
so yeah, I'm into input, and if there's anything that we haven't named, and like the rep ad, like I know that we had done it a few years ago, we haven't done it the past 2 years.
Yeah.
If I recall, we didn't get a lot of return
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I like.
for the
sign
cost,
of
because it's
streaming.
not a cheap one.
yeah.
I think that's a potential different demographic that maybe
Yeah.
we haven't been hitting with some of
And
the
it
other.
seems like compared to, like Great Day St. Louis is like 6,700.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's a little bit more money, but I do think there's a good investment on that, but for 2,000, it's less than what we spend with
Great
KZK.
one.
Yeah,
I
That's a
feel
great
like
one.
it's
That's a
it's a
no-brainer.
minor.
yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah, and then the other things are, of course, and I love the, it's always been that Webster Wonderland.
Right,
And we could save some money by just continuing that, and it's branded as Webster Wonderland and not have to hire, like, we'll hire a graphic designer, of course, to do some specific things like the Kirkwood Times ads, but
Mhm.
not recreating an entire logo and name for it, I think. It's helpful, because it's very pretty. I didn't bring an example, but I can email one out to the group as to what Webster Wonderland.
Yeah,
Looks
we've
like-
changed that also, to simplify it.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago,
Mhm.
because it was very, very busy.
Yes, yeah.
And we toned it down to simplify it.
And we're limiting just the print stuff that we do, just because the price of paper is so high. Like, even the Parks Department, when they wanted to print their book, realized that it would be astronomical to print out the booklet. So we're doing a lot more. So I don't see us printing out the giant holiday calendar, and doing a mailer that goes to people's homes. But I think that we can do smaller flyers and have it directed to a website with a QR code or something that shows all the different things that are going. It's just a matter of getting the full list of the things that will be going on. But I think that with a Great Day St. Louis, it's a good example, opportunity to do all the different, like we've got Union Studio that has some great gifts for Christmas. And then I remember you guys did those really cool porch pots.
Yeah,
last
we
year.
do porch pots, and a lot of places are doing like little gift boxes.
Yeah, little things like that.
It's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, and just
Um,
kind of hitting all the different parts of Webster and showing the gifts and the things that you can get.
Ladue was mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
Have they in the past done anything in Ladue News? And also their social media is really getting a good Instagram presence. They've done some fantastic articles lately.
Okay, I'll take a look at
Like
Ladue
if we
News.
want to kind of branch out a little bit and try to get into some other social medias,
That's good. And then Explore Webster as well, we would give them money, and they do a lot of targeted social media posts that'll hit all of the areas around the.
Is there anything that we could do that could piggyback off of some of the existing, you know what I mean, like kind of just give them a ready to go thing for the businesses? Cause like we have like over 17 or 18,000 followers on Instagram now. And so does, some of the other, big brands in Webster, Civil Alchemy, O&O, things like that. Is there something that we could do that would be simple, easy for somebody to put together that all of these businesses could,
I like
just
that.
throw out there?
I'll look into doing some things like that. Maybe there's just even a frame that you guys could put around something, your profile photo or something for Christmas that you're a part of the Webster Wonderland or something like
Yeah,
that.
part of Webster Wonderland, if we do end up doing anything with Fox, it can push people to that, like to just like capitalize on some of what we've already got going on.
Okay. And there's that nice Facebook group with all the business owners and everything. That would be a good place to push those out. Like if there's
Right,
a
so
social
they
media
could just
graphic
grab
to
it.
encourage people. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'll second the Ladue that we haven't used that at all, but Appley Rye, for those that have been around Webster, the space that we took over, and she said that was always a big deal for her to
Yeah.
get
Into
customers.
Ladue News. Yeah, because we've also, we get contacted a lot by Webster neighbors. That free magazine, and I don't know that there's been too much of a return on investment in that.
Like goes
it's-
to Webster.
Yeah,
It's-
and it's
Yeah.
a little pricey, so,
Yeah.
And it's a little thin.
yeah, I would rather do Ladue News with any money than.
Especially with
agree,
their
really
added,
branch out.
the push that they're making in social, it's done very
Okay.
nicely.
I'll take a look at that, because sometimes places just do a social package, and if they're willing to do that, then that
Yeah.
might be nice
Yeah.
and affordable. Okay, I
Good
will
deal.
look into
Yeah,
that.
I know in the past that their high price point was always an issue and why we didn't always go with it.
Okay,
Okay.
I feel like people are desperate with COVID though, so maybe we can work
You
on
just never
something.
know. I just know that was
Yeah,
historical.
okay.
All right. So I guess moving on, business district updates, city updates.
You want to do anything with business districts? I don't think we have. any.
I don't think there was, I would say I reviewed it. I mean,
I'm just looking at Fran. I don't really have any update on, from districts. Anything you want to bring up?
No, I know, their streetscapes are they started in Old Orchard. They're still talking about, Crossroads.
mhm,
There's money, so that is going to be moving forward, but St. Louis County doesn't always come to the table as quickly, and they own Big Bend, so.
sure,
Webster was talking about, holidays.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
The only other thing on business districts is from Old Orchard. We will have sidewalk replacement going on, and it started this
It
week.
started.
It
Started,
this
yeah.
week, so,
started,
So we're have news out for folks to continue going to those patrons and understanding that we'll see some
right.
lane changes and parking changes along the way there on Big Bend.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
still open while the construction's going on.
Yeah.
yeah. Any other city updates at all?
Yep, so some things, start with Douglas Hill, since it's on everyone's mind here at the city. Next week is planning and zoning special public hearing to continue public comment on Douglas Hill. Douglas Hill, for those, I'm assuming everyone knows what Douglas Hill is when I say that, so it's the big proposed redevelopment between Rock Hill and Kirkham, and Gore, Kirkham and the railroad tracks in that area. Also, we have TIF commission this coming Wednesday on the 1st, which is about the public investment for public infrastructure at Douglas Hill. So that will be at 6 o'clock. The city website does have, if anyone wants to speak at the planning and zoning commission, I know Jenny put that up, or someone put it up, so it's on there on the front page of the webpage. So, a couple other updates, lots of businesses opened up. I think we all know DD Mao, Eurotrash opened up. We have things under construction in Yorkshire. Has got the Wingstop under construction, Sushi, I'm gonna really struggle with that one. Union Bagels under construction. Total access urgent cares permits they've been issued. They were denied variances for their signage. That's the development, Big Bend and Laclede. Betty's Bookstore is opening up next month, so it's a comic book store, adding to another independent book retailer in town. And then SMR Auto has expanded their CUP down on Watson Road to be able to do auto repair. I didn't know we didn't allow them to do auto repair, but that was quite an interesting hearing to go through. And so the council will hear, I should say that that goes to council on the 7th for public hearing and action. So obviously the council could act differently if they choose. The only other thing is, as we talked about, we do have our American Rescue Plan funding is coming in. So we will start to begin the process of figuring out how to use that. And we'll hear about that at our upcoming meetings and at the roundtable. So.
Good deal.
I'll turn it over.
Eric, one question. The businesses that are just east of here, which business district do they sit in?
You mean down in,
Like,
Yeah,
Garden
Where's
Orchard.
Zebra
Like
Park
the
is?
Schnars and the Eurotrash and those
And
places.
Dewey's.
Oh, that's old
That's
Webster.
Old
That's
Webster.
Old
Yeah.
Webster,
Yeah.
okay. And then the businesses like the bookstore, past Old Orchard, is that Old Orchard
Old
then
Orchard,
still?
yeah. No,
Okay.
If it would be helpful, I mean, we have, I'll send the link out and have Fran send it out. We have a map layer that has the business district, so you can see the
Okay,
boundaries and
perfect.
edges. And it's, unfortunately, they're not nice, because sometimes we do residences out, and so, the boundaries are squiggly lines all
The
over.
only other- I know that it's been brought up a few times on some of the community boards, but Dollar General did close in Yorkshire and nothing has opted for the space yet. It's not like, yeah, so it's just gonna be empty.
Okay.
That's it.
And then, Councilman Carroll,
I
do you
got
have
it.
any updates?
Just a couple things. One, the Sustainability Commission is starting to draft a community sustainability plan. One of their first things out of the gate is they have a survey for businesses that I know, I don't know, Johnny, maybe you posted it in the business group on the Facebook
I
page.
did, yes.
And then I wonder if it, Fran, if you have various email lists that we might distribute it on. Because they want business input, and their plan is, they're starting with sort of gathering the business input. They'll do a broader community survey later. We also have a fire chief survey, if you'd like to take that, and an Ivory Crockett survey out as well. So we're having a lot of surveys all at once, and so
Yeah.
they're gonna hold off on their community-wide survey, I think, for a little while, just to no survey fatigue in the community, but the business one's out, and it would be great if people would take it.
And I will say with that, we do have like now an official, like a paid account with Survey Monkey. So if the BDC ever wants to do a survey, that was something the Sustainability Commission, they had done it on the free one, and then they realized we had one, and they're like, can you actually post this, because you get more bells and whistles. So
Yeah.
we did that for them.
Okay, great.
Also, council did pass, you probably have heard, multifamily housing in commercial districts. So hopefully things like the Subaru site will get good use out of with first floor commercial and maybe some upper floor residential, which we haven't been able to do before. And then also council is beginning a strategic planning process. We've talked about it for about a year. We're actually going to start doing it. And there will along the way, I think, be plenty of public input opportunities. And I know we want to think about the business community as well during that process. So you'll hear more about that. Our initial meeting, I think, is next month. So. And I think that's it for me, because Eric, thanks for doing the ARP stuff.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Really good meeting all. I know our next meeting is September 23rd, and we have a lot of follow-up items from today that carry over there. That's everything that I have. I know we ran a little bit over, so I want to go ahead and adjourn. You guys have a good day, and then good to see everybody face to face.
Yeah,
Most of
absolutely.
it, so. That's
Thanks, Kara.
Thanks, Kara. And then